y enseñamos los pronombres objetos.
Indirectos.
An indirect object is a noun that receives the action of the verb. This is usually a person, but sometimes can be other things, like animals and occasionally an object. There must be a direct object in order to have an indirect object. A sentence can't stand alone with only an indirect object. It has to have a direct object in it too.
Here are a couple of examples.
Example number 1. He gave the mailman the letter. In this sentence, gave is the verb, letter is the direct object, and mailman is the indirect object. Notice how you can't have a sentence with only an indirect object, or else it would just say, he gave the mailman, which doesn't make sense.
Hey, mailman, here is my letter. Example 2. Cassidy threw the dog the ball. In this sentence, threw is the verb. The ball is the direct object because it is being thrown. The dog is receiving the verb because the ball is being thrown to the dog. If the ball was not in the sentence, the dog would become the direct object because an indirect object cannot be alone in a sentence.
Here, dog. Woof.
Example number 3. She sent him the text message. The verb is sent, the direct object is message, and the indirect object is him. Notice how you can substitute pronouns for nouns as the indirect object. Instead of saying, she sent Robbie the text message, it says, she sent him the text message.
Ooh, I got a text message. In Spanish, you can also substitute pronouns for the direct and indirect objects to avoid repetition.
Here's the pronoun table for the indirect objects pronouns in Spanish. When the indirect object is yo, you use the pronoun me. When it's tu, you use the pronoun te. When it's él, ella, or usted, you use the pronoun le. Nosotros uses the pronoun nos. Ellos, ellas, and ustedes uses the pronoun les. Here are several different ways you can construct a sentence in Spanish that contains direct object pronouns and indirect object pronouns. This is the first example. Subject plus indirect object pronoun plus direct object pronoun plus verb. The second is subject plus indirect object pronoun plus verb plus direct object in the noun form. The last is subject plus conjugated verb plus infinitive verb with indirect object pronoun attached to the end of the verb plus direct object.
Here are several different ways to write the same sentence in different structures.
Tú me lo necesitas dar. O, tú me necesitas dar un regalo. O, tú necesitas darme un regalo.
Example numero 1. Doy el dinero a Roberto. In this sentence, there are no pronouns. You can replace a Roberto with le, and it becomes le doy el dinero, making le the indirect object.
Gracias, señor.
If you have a sentence with two pronouns that both start with the letter L, you change the indirect object pronoun to se. This is to avoid the tongue twister of the two L sounds. For instance, lelo becomes selo, lesla becomes sela, leslos becomes selos, and there are many others, but those are just a few. In the example sentence, I don't have it for you, in Spanish you would say no se lo tango. You would not say no le lo tango.